Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into a huge topic, environmental sustainability. But we're not just talking about it as a moral issue. We're going to look at it as a truly smart business strategy and really bridge that gap between doing what's right for the planet and doing what's right for your company's bottom line. So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll lay the groundwork and define what sustainability even is. Then we'll build the business case for going green. From there, we'll dive into that core conflict, the classic profit versus planet debate. Then we'll give you an ethical toolkit for making tough calls, and wrap it all up by getting you prepped for your Module 9 assignment. Okay, let's dive right in. First things first, before we can get into strategy or ethics, we all need to be on the same page about what sustainability really means. But before we get into the big business theories, let's just make it personal for a moment. Seriously, think about it. Your day-to-day life. Maybe it's how you commute, the coffee cup you use, what you do with your leftovers. What's one habit you have that has some kind of environmental impact, good or bad? Tapping into that personal connection is so key to understanding the bigger picture we're about to paint. Okay, so here's the core definition. Environmental sustainability is all about two things: responsibility and balance. It's not saying we have to stop using resources altogether. Instead, it's a challenge to be smart about it, to make sure that the things we rely on today, well, they'll still be around for our kids and their kids. It's about playing the long game. And when it comes to how businesses can actually do this, it pretty much boils down to two main approaches. On one side, you've got reduction. That's the straightforward idea of just using less stuff, consuming less, polluting less. And on the other side, you've got efficiency. This is about being clever, using innovation and better tech to get more bang for your buck, to squeeze every bit of value out of the resources you use and minimize waste. Now, let's see how these ideas actually build a powerful business case. We're moving past just the why we should do it and into the what's in it for the business. Because this isn't just about feeling good. It's about building a company that's tougher, smarter, and built to last. And this right here, this is the triple bottom line. It's an absolutely essential framework because it forces us to think bigger than just profit. A truly successful company, according to this model, is one that also tracks its impact on the planet, through stewardship, and on people, through things like fair labor and community work. Profit is just one piece of the puzzle. So that's the big idea. But how do you actually put the triple bottom line into action? Well, it comes down to these four key practices. You've got eco-efficient production to slash waste, sustainable sourcing to make sure your suppliers are ethical, green innovation to create new, better products, and of course, emissions reduction to tackle your carbon footprint. These are the real, on-the-ground action items. And the payoff for doing this stuff is very, very real. Just look at this breakdown. The biggest piece of the pie, a whopping 40%, is securing the availability of materials for the future. I mean, you can't run a business if you run out of the stuff you need to make your product, right? But it also drives down costs over the long haul, builds a fantastic brand reputation, and helps you dodge future risks, like new regulations. But of course, if this were all just sunshine and rainbows, every company would be perfectly sustainable by now. And that brings us to the real friction point. The core conflict that every single leader has to grapple with. And here it is, the central tension in a nutshell. It's a constant tug of war. On one side, you have all this intense pressure for right now. Hit those quarterly numbers, keep shareholders happy, stay competitive on price. But on the other side, you've all that amazing long-term value that sustainability creates, like a trusted brand, new innovations, and being the kind of company the best people want to work for. These two things are often pulling in opposite directions. And this quote from your reading just hits the nail on the head. Making the sustainable choice, like, say, investing in cleaner technology or paying a premium for ethically sourced materials, it can absolutely cost more in the short term. It can squeeze those immediate profit margins. Which leads us to the million-dollar question, and it's the one at the very heart of your assignment. How do you stand in front of your stakeholders, the people focused on this quarter's numbers, and justify spending more money now for a payoff that's down the road? To answer that, you need more than just a spreadsheet. And this is exactly where ethics comes into play. To make a really compelling case for sustainability, especially when it costs money up front, leaders need a solid ethical toolkit to frame their arguments and defend those long-term decisions. So here are 3 incredibly powerful frameworks you can use. First, there's stakeholder theory. This basically says the environment isn't just a pile of resources, it's a key stakeholder. It gets a seat at the table, and its interests have to be balanced against everyone else's. Then you have duty ethics, which gives you a strong moral compass. It argues we have a fundamental obligation, a duty, to protect the planet for the people who come after us. And finally, there's virtue ethics. This one shifts the focus to the leader's character. It asks, what would a courageous, a just, a prudent leader do? These are the arguments that help you win the case for the long-term vision. All right, let's bring all this home. Let's talk about how you can take all these ideas and absolutely crush your Module 9 assignment. So here's a huge tip as you get ready to write your response. You have to speak the language. Using the specific terminology of sustainable business is crucial. It shows that you're not just giving an opinion, you're building a sophisticated argument that's grounded in established theory. So to make your arguments really powerful, you're going to want to weave these key terms in naturally. For instance, talk about a company's ecological footprint and how they can reduce it. Analyze the climate risk they're exposed to. Propose a shift towards a circular economy where waste from one process becomes a resource for another. You can frame your whole argument around the need for strong environmental governance and how it fulfills the company's corporate environmental responsibility. And of course, always tie it back to our ethical duty to future generations. Using these terms correctly is what will make your analysis stand out. So, as you sit down to write, I'm just going to leave you with this one final thought to reflect on. Forget the grades and the reports for just a second. What kind of story do we want future generations to tell about the businesses of our time? What kind of environmental legacy do we want to leave behind? Because when you get right down to it, that is what this is all about. Good luck.